Good Thursday morning, Houston. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Kim Castro here with your tropical update. I've got some pretty good news. So because this tropical wave in the Gulf has seen a lot of land interaction with the upper Texas and Louisiana coastline, there is now a reduced chance for development, down to a 30% probability of this wave gaining enough organization to actually get a name designation, which would have been Dexter. Regardless, though, we'll still continue to track the moisture that it is slinging in our direction as it continues to move west at 10 miles an hour. It has not changed in intensity from the advisories we had yesterday, so it still has 30-mile-an-hour winds, so it didn't gain intensity in that regard either. But again, a pretty healthy batch of moisture moving through Louisiana and then eventually tracking closer to home. Right now, there's a flood advisory for Baton Rouge all the way down just west of New Orleans. This lasts for another 15 minutes or so, but I suspect they're going to be issuing more of these throughout the day. The entire area is under a flood watch. A lot of these spots have received a cumulative 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. However, there are specific locations that have gotten more than that. So here's a look at the radar estimates over the last 24 hours. It's going to take a minute to populate, but I can tell you just from what I've seen the last few hours, the Baton Rouge area, close to New Orleans, anywhere between 3 to about 4 inches of rainfall for very, very isolated pockets. There we go. When we're talking about this kind of data, it takes a minute to load. And notice even a few localized spots like Pincourtville have received radar indicated 6 to 7 inches of rainfall. So that is why the area has a concern for flooding. Today, the outlook for Louisiana, anywhere between a 2 slight risk to a 3 moderate risk. The scale goes from 1 to 4. So 3 out of 4 is a pretty substantial risk to see some localized street flooding. And it's mainly because of the rainfall rates. So we're talking about 2-3 inches of rain. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's within a short time frame, say just an hour, well, then the streets don't have enough time to drain properly. And that's when we could see that flash flood threat of water piling up on top and rushing to populated areas. So for that reason, we'll keep a close eye on our neighbors there. And then eventually that moisture, as it continues to push west, is going to sling in some of that heavy rain closer to home. So let's track this system together. As we go into late night tonight, overnight into our Friday, that's when we're going to start seeing the tropical downpours here in Houston. It's going to come in waves, so we'll see some showers in the morning, afternoon, and evening. I think for the most part, it's going to be really manageable for us, but we will get some rain that does require for us to alter our plans, keep track of the forecast, and just be up to date as to what this wave is going to be doing here over the next couple of days. But for Louisiana, we're still looking at the potential of an additional 2, 3, even 4, maybe up to 5 inches of rainfall. This is through Saturday. So that's certainly going to be the area where the moisture is focused. And it's no surprise because this system is projected to sweep through Louisiana and then eventually curve north. Notice almost all of the spaghetti plot models now in agreement with that. Of course, there are 1 or 2 outliers, but for the most part, the general trend is going to be sweeping through and lifting to the north. So we're going to be on the west side of some moisture slinging our direction, and that is going to be a pretty much a best case scenario for us. We do get a little bit of rainfall, but it's not going to be anything that will be alarming as far as accumulation is concerned. So that's a snapshot at 6:30 in the morning. That's when we'll start to see some moisture moving in. It's going to be east to west. So our eastern cities and counties, we're talking about Chambers, Liberty, up into San Jacinto and Polk, we'll get the first round of rain. So if you do commute, let's say Baytown, the East Freeway, you come in or tried to get to the refineries, that's where you're going to have a little bit of a slow go for the start of your Friday. Along 5969 is going to be pretty wet starting off on our Friday and working up the Gulf Freeway too. We're going to get some rain right through downtown for the morning and afternoon. So that's a snapshot at 3 o'clock on your Friday. Basic takeaway is Friday's going to be pretty wet for us. We have several rounds of rain. And even into the evening, we'll have a little bit more moisture. At this point, I think it's starting to lift north. So that means north of the I-10 corridor. If you're in the Woodlands, Spring, trying to get to the airport, I think those spots are going to get hit with some rain later on at night. We'll have some residual moisture even lingering into our Saturday, so some isolated pockets of downpours, but not widespread rain. So you'll notice a snapshot of 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon shows rain around Harris County. So whether you're in Anahuac or whether you're pushing closer to Fort Bend or Waller near the Katy area, that's where the models are pinpointing some flare-ups. That tropical moisture coupled with the daytime heating certainly have the ingredients and the potential to bring us downpours for Saturday, even into the evening hours. So that's a snapshot at 7 o'clock. So how much are we going to accumulate? We saw some pretty substantial totals for Louisiana Friday and Saturday. For us, I think the most of us are going to see really manageable rain. So 1/2 inch to 1 inch is standard. But notice there are a couple bullseye spots that could accumulate just a little bit more. So plan on anywhere between 1 to 2 inches of rainfall widespread. Notice maybe an area like Jersey Village gets 2.5. It is going to be hit or miss depending on the neighborhood. But overall, nothing that I see on our future track models sounds the alarm bells for too much rainfall as we go into the next 3 days. So your high temperature for today, 96 degrees. You are starting to see that cloud cover building in. Could you see a stray shower here and there? Yes, I don't think it's going to be enough for me to put it in the forecast. Tomorrow's rain certainly enough to, look out for. A 60% chance for downpours on your Friday. That rain will cool down the atmosphere, so that's good. So you go from a high of 96 today to most of the afternoon tomorrow spent in the 80s, 88 for your high temperature on Friday. Still tracking a couple scattered downpours for your Saturday, and so temperatures are going to be slightly below what's average for this time of year, though we'll still be in the 90s. 94 is your high temperature on Saturday. All right, we're going to have another extended look at the tropics, your local forecast, a look at the dust, allergies, all the things coming up on our newscast at noon. I will join you there. And then later on this afternoon, we have meteorologist Pat Kavlin that will join you at 4 o'clock. And then our chief meteorologist David Paul here to guide you through the entire weather story at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. We will see you there.